Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, it's time to take a gamble this week as we come on to week number 4. And the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series is going to be live from the desert. It's Las Vegas this week. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Alongside me here tonight, well, as always, so far, Alex Gagnon has found a home on Tuesdays. You're going to cover week number 4. I'm excited. I hope you're excited as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The past 3 weeks that we've had to cover the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series has been a blast so far, and I've got absolutely no doubt that Las Vegas will be more of the same here tonight. A thrilling first couple weeks and a track that is sure to entertain.
Taking a look at our schedule, 20 races here all the way to December 17th. You see the first 3 that are slightly grayed out there. That's what we've done so far, and this will be 1 more mile and a half before we go to North Carolina, go to Rockingham, and then it's Charlotte. So we're going to stay in the Carolinas there to round off the end of August, though. This racetrack, familiar to a lot of drivers. These cars saw some track time here as well. It should be no different than where they left off the last time they were here. Race analysis up on your screen, 90 laps as always. 45 on the stage end, halfway mark. 3 tire sets available, opposed to last week where we had 4, so tires at a premium at a track that's really good at chewing them up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a track that if you're not careful, will absolutely shred them to pieces, especially with the horsepower in these Gen 4 cars. But this is also very much a rhythm track. If you get out front early, you can really set the tone and set the pace of this race as everyone tries to follow in behind you. So it is very much a track that is comfortable for those who can get into a rhythm, but when you start having to battle people side by side, it can really take you out of that rhythm, and then that exit of turn 4 gets super narrow when you start running side by side.
Of course, 1.5, the 20-degree banking in the turns here, 8 degrees on the front stretch. Opened back March 30th, 1996, and I believe it was Mark Martin that got the first victory when this place opened up. Take a quick look at the points here before we hit the grid. Michael Sturgill's lead has narrowed down after Casey Carrington had an excellent week last week at Atlanta. We're looking to see maybe more of the same, as Casey Carrington has proven that he can get around these places. It's going to be a little bit of strategy. I know with some of these guys that are up here in the top 10 in points, they got caught behind the 8 ball when it came to that strategy. Some guys made a one-stop race, and that seemed to be the entirety of our top 5.
Yeah, it really did seem to be the case. Last week was a lot of familiar faces up at the front of the field. And now with the way Carrington was able to stretch that last stage out when everyone else had to come down pit road, he ultimately got the lion's share of points and gets him right back in the title fight here with Michael Sturgill through 3 races. Although we're still seeing some pretty good runs here from Dylan Rosenberg, Daniel Giroux, keeping themselves not too far out of the picture if they were to have a good day here today.
Well, with that, it's time to take you trackside now. Get the grid up on your screen. Starting on the pole here today. As soon as my buttons decide to work, a 29.624 from Gabe Ellison. Missed last week, didn't see anything from the 27 car, but he's definitely going to be fast here today after starting up front. Thomas Stokes in the number 11 is going to start to his outside. And then from row number 2, it's Michael Mullins with Josh Dillon in the 4th spot. 5th place goes to Sheldon Atkins with Curtis White in 6th position. And then row number 4 goes to Daniel Giroux with Josh Taylor to his outside. Rounding out your top 10 here today from Las Vegas, it's Dylan Rosenberg and Casey Carrington, last week's winner.
Jumping back into row 6 here, Clinton Sneed in the 49 rolls off 11th. Chris Waddle rolls off 12th. Row 7, it's Jeff Noe in the 55 and Stan Carnathan in the 82. In 15th, Jose Ruiz in the number 6 machine. Michael Garone in the 66, rolling off P16. Craig Martin rolls off 17th tonight. Tim Bruce to his outside. And row 10, it is Nathan Rogie in the 87, Clint Castleberry in the 21.
Couple cars electing not to grid here, but we got Kyle Shelton starting on the outside of Cade Sullivan. And rounding out your field right now, they have not gridded yet for the 05 machine, but Andy Oak in the number 19 will start 23rd. Max Steck is not elected to grid, and we will go cycle around this racetrack for our pace lap.
You see the field getting going here. Only the one pace lap to get us started here at Vegas, so next time by, it'll be the drop of the green flag for race 4 of the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series.
Well, and Alex, you've watched him here enough so far. We saw what the 43 can do in a mile and a half. We've also seen what Michael Sturgill can do. We've had a variety of tracks that, slightly different than others. This place has its own characteristics. It's more in the realm of like a Chicagoland or a Kansas Speedway. What are your keys to victory here tonight?
I think the first key tonight is going to be getting out of the blocks well. We saw there was an incident early on in the opening lap last week, and that really marred several quality drivers' chances at going for the win last week. Getting through the first couple of laps harm-free here as you start to get your feet under you, I think will be key. And then avoiding any issues on pit road will also be critical, as that will definitely come into play tonight.
SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series notorious for going green flag and creating green flag pit stops. But for week number 4, we're set, ready to go. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. Green flag is out, and week number 4 is underway. Ellison's going to lead lap number 1. He holds on to the pole, but he has the 11 of Thomas Stokes challenging on the inside into 1 and 2. It looks like he's going to take away the position, but bobbles the apron a little bit, loses the speed, and now Stokes back door to door.
Yeah, the 11 would have had that pass made, but just clipped the apron off of turn 2. Held him up for just a moment, but is able to finish the pass here on the other side of the track. And Thomas Stokes now takes the lead, pulling away from the 27 of Gabe Ellison as they make their way back into turn 1. This Thomas Stokes machine, not a car we've seen at the front a ton so far this season, so a statement start here from the 11.
And we still have a lot of 3 wide going on back here as they came out of turn 2. That's Michael Girone, and it looks like Jose Ruiz falling back a position there for the 66. Tim Bruce peeked to the inside there briefly as well. And I believe it was Chris Waddle that was at the front of this. 2 positions lost here for the 15 car already.
Yeah, a bit of a tough start here for Chris Waddle, down to P14, but you know, in the early going, this is the moment when you kind of figure out what you can do and what the field is doing. And you don't really have to force the issue too much. It's far more important to find the rhythm that you find your car performs the best in. And right now, I think that's what the 15 is doing, is he pulls right up to the back bumper of the 55. Going to maybe look to the outside here of Jeff
Oh,
No.
he cut his nose off.
Yeah, he did. The 55, maybe a little bit of mirror driving there in the turn 1. Completely killed the momentum of the 15. Garone's going to capitalize, and he might not be the only one.
Now Waddle actually loses another position as a result of that, trying to go back and get where he started. Now side by side behind him, Ruiz and Bruce coming through the tri-oval. There's Craig Martin in the 22. He's going to look for a position back to where he started. Most of this field has not changed hands. Big move here for the 66 so far as they continue to race side by side behind him.
Yeah, an absolute cluster of cars there behind the 66. You could throw a blanket down there and cover 5 cars at once. As Jeff No is going to try and fight off Tim Bruce, but the 411 got a great run off of turn 4. He's going to be right there on the door and clear him into turn 1. A nice little pass there from Tim Bruce. Craig Martin going to try and do the same, maybe a little bit of sending the 55 up the hill, and they'll be door to door down the back straightaway.
Looks like Jeff No actually said no to the 22, sent him down the track to the apron, and they're going to work on this again. Loose for the 411 of Bruce. He's going to be back here racing side by side again as he slides through the tri-oval.
Took him the whole front straightaway to get that car to settle back down. Loses a couple spots in the process.
He's still
lucky
fighting
that he didn't. I'm about to say he's lucky he didn't lose that thing going off of the exit of turn 4. And then especially when he tried getting back onto the track, the apron really disrupted that car's balance. So we're looking back up front. Stokes has got a battle for the lead. It's a 3-car battle. Ellison up high, Stokes down low, and you've got Mullins directly in their tire tracks.
Michael Mullins, another one of those cars, especially at Auto Club, that had a really good shot to win. Didn't fare as well, got behind on the strategy, worked his way back, got, I believe, a top 5 finish, but nowhere near the performance we saw from him at Auto Club, and unfortunately, he lost it coming down pit road. This guy's still hungry for a win.
Yeah, and right now he's put himself in good position in the early laps here at Vegas. Ellison and Stokes continue their side-by-side battle for the lead. Mullins just getting to sit back, wait, and follow whoever gets the edge on through. Looks like it's finally going to be the pole sitter Gabe Ellison taking the lead once again. Stokes will fall back to second, Mullins hot on his heels.
As they continue to rush through, 10 laps in already completed. And a side-by-side for second position. We've had, well, there's the lead battle. 1/10 of a second. A lot of passing going on through the field. It's looking pretty racy here for the Gen 4 stock cars.
Yeah, it certainly is. It also looks like both lanes can be used to decent effect as you see Stokes try and run that high lane. Got a nice little run off the corner. Gonna maybe poke his nose to the outside. Now looking back to the inside here of the 27. And he's gonna go back a lane higher than Ellison once again. Change in philosophy now for the 27, trying to defend that low side. Forcing Stokes to pass him the long way around.
Well, Stokes worked the high line out of 2, but it doesn't look like it's gonna work quite as well through 3 and 4. He has to pinch down here on the exit of the corner, prevent that 27 from getting the run off. He will accomplish that, but that time by, Ellison gets another lap led, and it's a drag race around for another lap on 13.
These guys continue to fight it out for the lead, and just behind them, Mullins, White, and Dillon all sitting there watching this unfold as Stokes finally able to clear the 27 there off of turn 2. Now here comes Josh Dillon to the inside of the 63 machine.
Curtis White's going to fall back a position.
Yeah, I'm about to say, sorry. Bouncing back from what was a very, very tough race last week at Atlanta for Josh Dillon. Got taken out more or less on the opening lap of the race. So right now, this is a big redemption drive for the 12, trying to finish this with maybe a win, but if nothing else, at least a quality finish, because he was denied that chance at Atlanta last week.
He's going to try to get around the 24 Mullins. A lot of power showed here from Dillon, but opened up the door there from Taylor as they crossed over into 3 and onto the apron. Dillon still trying to save it. Lost all the spots he gained.
Yeah, almost a similar situation to what we saw with the 411 not all that long ago. The 12 trying to get down to the apron, make this front stretch as short as possible. Just got a little too much of it. Nearly pulled that car into the grass.
Now he's in a hornet's nest. He has the 91. Dylan Rosenberg up to 5th now. He passed on the outside of 2 cars. He's going to try to get around Curtis White to complete it. He will, and now he'll set his sights on Taylor.
What a pack here. The top 9 cars separated by a second or less. It looks like we're getting a de facto super speedway race out here at Vegas, the way everyone's getting stacked up.
And another thing that is of note here tonight, and I don't know if you've noticed this or not, Alex, but there's not a number 3 car on this racetrack tonight.
No, there is not. There is a significant lack of Michael Sturgill out in the field tonight, which makes this a huge opportunity for especially Casey Carrington, who's still running back in 10th, but really anyone in this field right now to try and get into the points battle, as the points leader is not here, and the driver who's second currently running P10.
We're about to add on to that 3 lead change total as the 24 Mullins takes over the point. First time today for him to get a lap led.
Yeah, Michael Mullins now takes the lead for the first time today. Stokes and Ellison going to keep their battle going, this time for second, though. The two just cannot get separated from one another. Josh Taylor doing a nice job working his way through the field. He's now up to P4.
We got to look back here. It was really tight off of turn 2. I'm trying to get the best camera angle I can, but look at how tight it got there. I'm going to go on board with the 27 real quick.
Yeah, that's one of those moments you just clench the wheel a little bit harder if you're the driver of the 27, being that 11 car slide up in front of you like that. Yeah, real narrow off the corner there. The 11, the back end of it nearly came up, tagged the 27 as they were trying to make their way off the corner. And there was no more room for Ellison to give there. He was all the way up to that outside wall.
Ross Taylor on the outside of the 11 of Stokes, falling back to 4th now. Dylan Rosenberg, Sheldon Atkins, a driver we don't name too often out here. Started in 5th. He's down in 6th spot, a little loose off the corner there in front of him from Rosenberg, but he's trying to find a line here where he can pick back up the spots and get back to where he started this race. He's well within arm's reach of the lead here. All he needs is to get clear of maybe 1 or 2 cars to make that run happen.
Yeah, you're certainly sitting back in 6th, but you can see the leader. They're still within a second of you here after 20 laps that have been run in this race. So while Mullins' lead is the biggest we've seen from any driver tonight, it's not an insurmountable one by any means. However, the more that these drivers continue the battle for second on back, the more is going to give the opportunity for the 24 of Mullins to pull away.
Already 21 laps complete now as they cross the stripe. The 24 of Mullins, the 27 of Ellison, the 91, the 11, the 7 of Taylor. Look at the top 5. Capitalizing on the situation. Look at the top 10 for that matter, really. At 9th position. I mean, Case Carrington slowly working his way away from Stan Carnathan, but it sounds like he's on a strategy all his own right now. If you listen in, he's clutching this thing.
He's got something up his sleeve, and we know that the 43 can fuel save with the best of them. He proved that last week at Atlanta, being one of the only drivers to make that a one-stop affair. Everyone else thought they were going to need to make 2. He was able to stretch that thing to the end and hold on for the victory. So if I'm the drivers in front of the 43, if I'm seeing that, I immediately start having the gears wonder if I'm already on the wrong strategy call, because the 43 so far this year has been on the right side of a couple of them.
Mullins gets a little loose there out of turn 4. He loses about a tenth of a second to Josh Taylor, who's worked his way up to the second position. 27 of Gabe Ellison about to be under fire from Dylan Rosenberg.
Rosenberg here has done a really nice job working his way through the top 10. Up 5 spots now in the P4. He's about to maybe get a run on the 27 as well. Got through the middle of the corner so much faster than Ellison did. And is going to pull right up to the back bumper here. Maybe look to the inside as they make their way in the 1. And he'll lunge it in there to try and take P3 away.
He's going to hold on to the position so far. 27 going to get a surge out of the exit, but it's not going to be enough. And now we're going to set our sights back on the lead because that gap staying pretty stagnant here. Loose for the 91.
Nearly a close call there for Rosenberg. If he lost it there, there was a whole host of cars directly behind him. He was going to have nowhere to go. Same with those behind him. So lucky break for 3rd through 6th. That was almost really bad, but Rosenberg still pointed the right direction, potentially saving not only his race, but Stokes and Adkins as well.
It's a 4-way battle for the 3rd spot. Rosenberg, Stokes, Ellison, Atkins. Slowly creeping back up into this picture is Curtis White, Daniel Giroux, and Josh Dillon still on the edge of this. Casey Carrington, even with the fuel saving, still working his way towards the top 5.
Yeah, slowly but surely as they continue to battle each other, he's been able to reel them in just a little bit, get that a little bit closer, maybe get a little bit of draft down that back straightaway off the back bumper of the 12. Carrington slowly working himself into position here. And, you know, as these laps tick away, I've been noticing that timing table. The gap from Mullins got up to about half a second a number of laps ago and has more or less stalled out because Josh Taylor is keeping that 24 from getting too far away from him.
It's really wins at 2. Hold on to it.
Oh, boy, save it. Oh, boy. That was almost a real-time commentator's curse. I was just about to say what a great job the 7 of Josh Taylor was doing in the early going here. And before I could even finish the sentence, it almost was catastrophic.
Looked like there was several instances where the back end wanted to step out. Let's ride back on board with him, see if he's got it settled back down. That right rear might take a few laps to cool back off. Looks like he's going to hold on to it a lot better this time around. And through 1 and 2, he shaves off a little time.
Yeah, it felt like that one was maybe a little bit more deliberate in how he went through there. I think that was a big wake-up call for the 7 about how he approaches that opening corner. But yeah, now starting to cut that deficit down just a hair, but still keeping it within a second. The only driver within a second now of Michael Mullins after Mullins had taken the lead with 9 cars within a second of P1.
Fastest car on the racetrack is Josh Taylor, but not far behind on the time. That the last time through was the 43 of Casey Carrington. We have a few cars that are still running 6s out here. Jose Ruiz. And it looks like Carrington's going to start passing now.
As the 43 has decided it's go time. Gets around, or gets a nose ahead of the 92 of Giroux. Now is going to close right into the back bumper of Dillon. And also, look who's in front of the 12. Our pole sitter, Gabe Ellison, has fallen down the 7th. And is in danger of losing more here as the 12 machine of Josh Dillon all over his back bumper, and Carrington not too far behind either.
Carrington slowly working the outside, and not very many drivers have shown the outside line, and you can hear now the 27 starting to clutch as well, and that might be affecting his line.
That also might be why he's starting to fall down through the field just a little bit. You see Carrington making a nice little move to try and split the 12 and the 27. Might be able to get both of those spots by the time he gets back to the start-finish line. And I believe he will.
Almost clear in the entry at turn 1. The 43 up 3 positions now. Sets his sights on Curtis White. The 27 to the outside of Josh Dillon. This battle for the 8th position. 92 of Daniel Giroux also in this hunt as well. Trying to stay into the top 10. The deficit has come down tremendously for the lead, though.
Yeah.
Mullins only has about half a second. He's back down now.
Yeah, that gap continues to shrink as Josh Taylor is starting to reel in the leader. Been getting, a couple hundredths each lap. And over the past, 6 or 7 laps, I started to add up a little bit. As you see now, within about a third of a second of the leader as they make their way to the start-finish line. The stage break scheduled for about 11 laps from now, the end of lap 45, I believe. So not too much longer. They'd have to try and stretch this thing out. But at the rate he's closing in, Josh Taylor will get to the back bumper of Mullins well before that mark.
At this rate, he's closed about 0.2 a lap, roughly. Continuing to do so. Hopefully no mistakes here from the 7 car. We saw through 1 and 2, he got a little loose there one of those laps. He's since nursed the car back to health. Looks like he's got the speed, but maybe a little bit of saving here from the 24. He got a better run out of turn 4.
That he did, and the 7 gonna pull right up to the back bumper. Well, maybe not quite there. He had an opportunity to do so, but that gap is now about a car length.
He's getting tight through the exit of 4. Right there's where he's losing his time. He's just back to the throttle a little bit too soon that time. And that dirty air probably affecting the handling of the front end.
Yeah, certainly, especially when you get that close. But look at the run he gets in the 1. Scooby-Doo filling the mirror right now of Michael Mullins as they make their way back into turn 3. This is the corner. The 24 has been running better than the 7 in so far this run. We'll see if Josh Taylor tries anything different here. Doesn't seem like he was able to get too close that time around, but Josh Taylor has been far more willing to drive it into turn 1 than the 24 has.
And that's kind of the trick to this this Gen 4 car, is to drive it deep into the corner, because you can't afford to get back onto the throttle and power out. It's got plenty of horsepower, but almost too much. So you almost have to lob it in there really deep into the corner and then just feather and play with the throttle. And you can see still struggling a little bit here with the exit of 3 and 4, but we still have a battle of about 1/10 of a second for the lead.
Yeah, Josh Taylor is still right there. Michael Mullins has been able to fend off the 7 at every opportunity. However, he still has to survive about another 6 laps here in order to hold on as the stage winner tonight. Will the 7 find something in the next couple minutes to try and get around the 24? We jump a little further in the field here. That's the 63 of Curtis White, running nose to tail with Sheldon Atkins and then Casey Carrington behind him.
Yeah, this third place back to a 9th spot, still right on top of each other, right where we left them. Gabe Ellison also in the tail end of 10th position. Looks like a lap down car with a 33 of Cade Sullivan. Had some problems early in this race. Started in 21st position. And the Kellogg's Pops machine, he needs a caution to get back some of this lost time.
Yeah, although right now he is not the most recent car 1 lap down. That would be the 82 of Stan Carnathan. Currently running 22nd, 1 lap off the leader. He would get the free pass if there is no caution before the stage break. Or actually, really just the next caution, whether it's a stage break or something else.
The 11 of Stokes gets around, or actually gets passed by the 92 of Giroux. Looks like the 11 almost lost another position. Gabe Ellison all over the back bumper. And here we go with 3 laps left in this stage. I'm curious to see. Taylor caught up to him. Now he's back to half a second. Is Mullins saving something?
Yeah, it might have been the case, or maybe the 7 got over aggressive in one of those corners, got the tires too hot, and he's fallen back to try and let them cool off a bit. But with only a couple laps here now before the stage break, got to imagine that if the 7 was trying to cool those tires off, he would have been trying to make his move either a bit earlier or saving the tires a bit more so he doesn't find himself so far back here, as that time continues just to drop from the 24. So I think right now, Michael Mullins firmly in control of this one. Although Sheldon Atkins might be trying to get into P3 before this stage is done. He is looking over the back bumper of the 91 as Rosenberg comes down pit road.
We had problems there with the 24 out of 4. Change for the lead. Josh Taylor gets it anyway.
Oh, it looked like maybe he...
was he trying to come down pit road?
It seemed like he thought about it.
He's going to go back on the throttle here and hit third gear and then change his mind entirely.
Well, that is a brutal break there. Although now Josh Taylor and everyone making their way on the pit road. So now Mullins re-inherits the lead. You know, stage break going to be this time by, so I guess Michael Mullins, unless he pits here, will be the stage winner. But it looks like everyone decided this was the lap to come down pit road.
It's going to be close here for Mullins. He has to come down pit road, and Casey Carrington is going to go by and steal this stage.
Oh, man, the fuel strategy games from the 43 continue. Leads 1 lap in the opening stage and will be crowned the stage winner. Unbelievable stuff there from the 43, as everyone else had to come down pit road. Got to imagine, though, he's thinking about coming down pit road this time.
Yeah, way sideways there into 3.
He committed very early that this was going to be the lap he came down pit road. He was saving fuel from basically the drop of the green flag to get to this point. You see him and the 27 of Ellison on pit road.
That gives the lead over to Clinton Sneed. He has stayed out 47 laps here to get this lap led. So we carry on with pit stops. 5 cars, but now 4 cars. And just as I say that, it's 3 cars, and it looks like the last couple are going to come down pit road here. Michael Jerome going to get around the outside of the 49.
A very nice pit entry there for the 66. Able to gain a position on his way down pit road. And if he has a clean stop, I'd imagine he'll be able to retain that spot off of pit road as well. As we jump back here with the 82 of Stan Carnathan, who I believe kicked off the pit cycle. That's why he was a lap down at around lap 40. So I do believe he will inherit the lead before long.
So Sneed, Jerome, coming out of pit road. Carnathan does take over the point. But he is about 10 laps shorter on fuel than the rest of this field, and you have to wonder, can he make it to the end of this race?
I'd find it unlikely, but you never know with the way these races might play out. I think the 82 is just using this as an opportunity to get some points for leading some laps and, you know, get some experience up at the front of the field. And, you know, if there was a caution that would come out, it would put him in a prime situation, assuming that this caution waits a little bit. So right now a 10-second gap over Rosenberg. Although it's worth noting, Rosenberg and Taylor ahead of Michael Mullins, and Rosenberg ahead of Josh Taylor here. So a great pit sequence for the 91 has put him in front of both of the cars he was trailing.
He's not in front of it by much, though, the 7 of Taylor, who took over the lead there just before coming down pit road. I mean, that's almost got to make you sick that you you go out there and do what you have to do to get around Mullins. You catch up to him. Then he makes a mistake. You get around him anyway. Well, you're out of fuel. You got to come down pit road so you don't get the stage.
Now, he didn't get the stage, but he's got a wicked fast car. And it really makes me think that he actually could be a favorite to win here tonight. He is putting out in a big way right now as he got around the 91. On board here with the 12 of Josh Dillon, who also had a very good pit cycle and is currently running in the 5th position.
24 of Mullins makes a mistake through 1 and 2. That allowed Dillon to catch up almost 0.2 of a second. Now he's to the outside through 3 and 4. You could still throw a blanket over, probably 4th back to 8th or 9th position here.
You absolutely could. You can add really 10th and 11th to that mix as well, as Carrington and Nathan Rogie are on the scene as well. It is a really tight battle here in the back half of the top 10, on board with the 87 as he tries to make his way to the front. Started 19th tonight. So the 87 and Nathan Rogie putting on a solid show right now.
A little bit of connection issue there with Daniel Giroux. Looks like it has sorted itself out, but the 92 blinks there briefly, almost 3 wide through the tri-oval with the guy that won last week. He's in conservation mode to make it to the end of this race. He snagged away a stage. He doesn't have to save quite as much, but he doesn't want to get into one of these situations where he's 3 wide.
Now, that's the last thing you want here, especially with everyone on different ages of tires and in different situations, and whether they are moving forward or backwards through this field. 43 now up into P7, trying to track down Mullins. Taylor had gotten around Rosenberg, but Dylan Rosenberg has not let him get away. And despite the fact that those two are battling for P2 on track, they are making leaps and bounds towards Stan Carnathan up at the front of the field. They've cut off about 2.5 seconds over the last few laps.
But here's the thing. They barely made it to the halfway point, right? They don't seem or appear to be saving anything right now as they race each other for the 2nd spot, what would probably stand to be the lead once this cycles through. 7.5 seconds as Carnathan continues to lead, but that is dwindling down lap after lap. And Carnathan almost hits the wall coming out of 4. The Hemps 82, he's going to have his hands full to maintain this lead. I think they catch him before he has to pit.
Yeah, I think that they probably will as well. I mean, that gap just continues to tick away. It was honestly an impressive bit of work there from Carnathan to put himself in this position. Although it is worth noting that it has been a phenomenal run of green flag racing so far this year in the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Very few yellows, really at all, even at the Super Speedway in Daytona. So, gambling on a caution, not super high odds with the way these guys have been running this season. But definitely going to take a chance nonetheless, trying to get that track position, maybe get the most laps led when it's all said and done. As Josh Taylor still trying to get some separation from Rosenberg, who just refuses to let the 7 get away from him.
Rosenberg makes a little mistake there out of 1 and 2, though. Gives up about 1/10 of a second to the 7 car. You go deeper back in this field. We're checking back in with Casey Carrington, who got that stage win. He's currently in the 6th spot. He's working his way through quite nicely here. And it sounds like we might have had a car just hit the pit box. That was Max Steck, able to get the connection back and get back on the grid, but right side damage for this 05, and he's 15 laps down.
Yeah, and that car does not seem like it's driving all that great. He immediately puts it back below the apron. So it's not been a great day from start to finish here for the 05 of Max Steck, but he's still on track, trying to log some laps, trying to get this situation sorted out before the end of the race. But he will bring that 05 machine back down pit road.
Back up here with Daniel Giroux, 66 of Michael Garone. There's so many names that I'm going to butcher here, probably for another week or 2 at least. I think Alex has him down pretty good, though.
Most of them. The Garone one is definitely a little tough. I've just picked a pronunciation and stuck with it. So, Michael Garone, if I am saying your last name wrong, please let me know and I'll fix it for the next broadcast. But until I'm told otherwise, I'm going to roll with Michael Garone there, just getting around the 92 of Giroud. And that is the battle for P8 on track.
Another battle going on back here with Curtis and Mullins. This is for the 11th position. Well, we failed to do it, so we're going to go ahead and try it. I want you guys to find those volume knobs, the remote control, wherever your kids hit it. It's a perfect opportunity here on Vspeed to get loud, presented by 29 Graphics. And that was Get Loud, presented by 29 Graphics. What is going on with the 7 of Josh Taylor here?
Not entirely sure. It looks like he's lost out significant ground to Rosenberg, Ellison, and Carrington, now finding himself in P5. I mean, he's still closing in on Carnathan, but he is certainly slowed up compared to the other three, unless he's trying to really conserve some fuel to get to the end of this thing.
Yeah, I don't hear any saving here. I don't hear any clutching, but you know, it's not out of the possibility that he's just floating the throttle a little bit more. Maybe he's a little bit short. He was one of those cars that came in on lap 44, so not quite at the halfway point. He might be a lap shy here.
He might, but that gap, as it looks like Stan Carnathan has come down pit road, so the 91 of Dylan Rosenberg will inherit the lead here as they make their way to the flag for starting lap 66. Rosenberg has been one of the consistent front runners all season long, still looking for win number 1 though. Could tonight be the night? It's definitely a possibility, but you've got Gabe Ellison just behind him also looking for win number 1. And then Casey Carrington trying to go 2 in a row just behind him.
There's a lot going on through this top 3. You've got Rosenberg, Ellison, Carrington. They've pretty much pulled away. Josh Taylor back on the loud pedal now, it seems. There's maybe some side-by-side as Nathan Raji, I believe is how you were pronouncing that.
I was saying Rogi or something like that, but
Rogi.
Let me check the old sheet here. I'm seeing Rogi on mine, so that's what I'm gonna roll with.
Well, I'll go with that. No problem.
He's having a great drive. I mean, he's up from P19 to P6 here. The 87 having an absolute rocket ship of the day.
So as we work through the field, it's another opportunity for us to pay some of the bills. As you see Gabe Ellison work the back bumper of Dylan Rosenberg for the lead. We have to tell you that tonight's production sponsored by quite a few different people, but the first one that comes to mind is Rapid Fired Pizza. It opened its doors back in 2015 in Dayton, Ohio. The idea was simple. Make delicious, fast, and affordable pizza as you see a pass for the lead here. Now in 25 cities across the country, customers love the fresh taste, the speed, and the ability to create their own perfect pizza with over 35 different toppings and sauces. The top 3 has changed hands. You can go to www.rapidfiredpizza.com for a location near you. What is going on here with Rosenberg? 2 cars pass him like he's sitting still.
Yeah, I'm about to say that was a seamless ad read there. Plug in the action while it was happening. Ellison got around Rosenberg, then Carrington. The 91 going the wrong direction in a hurry here as Gabe Ellison heads on off, but he has got the 43 of Casey Carrington hot on his heels and closing in as we make our way to 20 laps to go here from Vegas.
And you have Michael Garone and Nathan Rogi, I just still will butcher that. Daniel Guru, Clinton Sneed up into the top 10. Sheldon Atkins just behind him. Big problems there for the 81. I seem to recall him fighting for the top 5 a minute ago. He's since fallen back to 10th. He's on the clutch pedal hard.
That he is. Sheldon Atkins going to try and stretch this one to the end here. A lot of drivers, I think, are going to be in heavy fuel save mode at the end of this one, knowing when they came down pit road just before the stage break. And now 2 cars that were having some struggles a moment ago, Josh Taylor and Dylan Rosenberg meet up. This time it's the 7 going around them. So Josh Taylor heading off in the right direction again. Gets around Rosenberg. You see Stan Carnathan on the outside. The 82 going to try and unlap himself here. Going to try and work his way up past Ellison in a moment as he goes all the way up to the high side.
So I think Taylor just needed to save maybe a decimal of a lap here in fuel, and once he got back into the green, he started to push the car again. It's unfortunate, though, because he gave up a lot of ground, and now, like we mentioned, he's a second away from the lead, over a second away from the lead. It's a lot of ground to make up here in the closing laps as we have less than 20 to go.
Yeah, and I know it's not an easy feat saving fuel while you're trying to battle for the provisional lead of the race, but it's certainly something to be like, can you potentially just save at a slightly slower rate and let that number work its way in deeper over the run than trying to get it all up front. Then you can go all out toward the end if you want to try and keep some of that track position there. Obviously, it's a lot easier for me to say that up here in the booth than actually being the driver down there trying to make the fuel save happen while you're getting up to almost 180 miles an hour out there. You know, right now, Josh Taylor running in P3, could hold on to a podium spot when this thing's all said and done. But right now he still has to battle Rosenberg, because I think the 91 may have just hit their number as well.
Looks like he's back on the loud pedal as well. Mountain Dew 91, the live wire Mountain Dew, just to clarify, the far superior drink of choice. And I would have to say, if I'm not a big fan of drinking Mountain Dew anymore, I used to consume it religiously, but if I had to make a choice, it's going to be live wire every time. Stan Carnathan in the 82 is going to go by and get himself back on the lead lap. But this now, oh wow, what a moment out of turn 4 for Casey Carrington.
That was almost a race decider right there. Take a look at what happens to Casey Carrington here. Gets all the way up and nearly hits that wall. I mean, boy, that thing slid out on him, and he nearly tagged the fence. That would more or less handed the lead for the rest of this race to Gabe Ellison. You see just how closely that wall gets you here at Las Vegas. It's a deceptive how quickly you get up to that outside wall off of 4. However, Carrington keeping this car in one piece, keeping it pointed the right direction. And now, as they come to the line with 12 laps to go next time by, he keeps himself within 0.3 of a second of Gabe Ellison. Ellison looking for his first win of the season after coming in with 2 top 5s to start the season. Carrington looking to go 2 in a row after his win last week at Atlanta.
Well, and Carrington is keeping Ellison honest. You can't afford any mistakes. They're within, a quarter of a second of each other for every single lap. That Ellison made a little mistake there earlier in the race, fell back to almost the 8th, 9th position, maybe on the fuel save a little bit there, but stretched that run out, was able to get on this one-stop race, and I think they learned a lot from last week in Atlanta. This is kind of what they learned being translated into, okay, we've got the same distance, we've got the same lap count. I think we can apply these rules, and it's been a little bit harder for Carrington to capitalize on it.
Yeah, and next time by, they'll only have 10 laps to go. We know Carrington pit a little bit later than the 27, which does work to his advantage. However, he'll have to go through the dirty air, try and make a move to get around Gabe Ellison. To this point, the 27 has looked really solid when he's been leading the field so far tonight. He has not put a step wrong to this point, and he will need to be perfect in these last 10 laps if he's going to stay in front of that 43.
Kier battling for position to the outside. Rogie to the outside in the 87. The 91 of Rosenberg loses another spot out of the top 5 now for the 91.
Yeah, he's going the wrong direction, but it has opened up the door for a couple of folks here inside the top 5 who we maybe don't always see up there. Michael Garone up from 16th to P3 right now. He's having a great drive right now. Josh Dillon putting together a solid performance here after, not finishing last week at Atlanta. Getting a solid run here. And then, of course, Nathan Rogie up from 19th to 5th here in that 87 machine. Couple of big movers in that top 5 between Garone and Rogie. And they may not be done yet, because it looks like Rogie has closed in on 3rd and 4th, and he could be looking for more.
Yeah, 14 positions gained for this 87 car. And as they get to racing almost side by side, we've got some more going on up front here. The 43 of Carrington, I thought he was going to try to make an attempt. He had a good run out of turn 4, tagged that tri-oval. Apron upset the car, and he's reset back to square one.
Yeah, but you could see he still cut that gap down about a 1/10 of a second down the front straightaway. So I think this could be the moment for Carrington here if he does the same thing without getting the car upset on the apron this time around. Going to go right back to it this time. Much cleaner entrance and exit on the apron. That gap down to 1.195 seconds.
They're in fuel save mode again, Alex. I hear it.
Yeah, they are. Everything's starting to stack up here. As Carrington on the fuel save. Got to imagine Ellison is as well.
Be interesting to check out, especially if Ellison out front there with all the drag on the nose of that car, that Lexus probably burning a little bit more fuel than the STP Dodge. Approaching 5 laps to go. If you're going to get it into the green, even if it's just a decimal that you need to do it, you need to save now, really sideways out of turn 2.
Yeah, they are running nose to tail here. You see Carrington was all over the back bumper, maybe trying to get a bit more of that draft if you can help it. Meanwhile here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th all stacked up as well. Josh Dillon looking to the inside of Michael Garone. Nathan Rogie watching on from just behind him. Here comes the 12 to the inside, trying to make his move down onto the apron.
Hot, quite clear. 5 laps to go here. And this is for the podium 3rd spot. 12 of Dillon will take it over. It sounded like Garone was saving a little bit of fuel.
Oh,
and that's
Carrington's getting close. He is right there.
Keeping the pressure on the Lexus 27. 4 to go. When they cross the stripe now, 1/10 separating. Can he go back-to-back, or will Gabe Ellison get the first victory of his season? Touching the apron there, the 43 just a little bit lower through that corner, and it's less than a 10th down the backstretch.
He is right there, but does the 43 make his move this time around? So close you can almost reach out and tap the hood of that STP Dodge as they come roaring off at turn 4. At the line, 3 to go. Ellison still leads, but just barely.
Gonna choose the high line here through 1 and 2. Is this going to pay off? He's going to get a huge run down the backstretch. He's into the wall.
Yeah. Oh boy, that may have been the last chance for the 43. The gap opening up to over a third of a second here. But he goes right back to the high side trying to generate a run as they make their way to the line.
Deficit over 4/10 now. This time through 3 and 4. He puts it back down below that. Into 1 and 2. Ellison, 2 laps to go. Almost half a second. Great run out of turn 2. He's going to pull out and put it over half a second. Great run here for the 27. White flag in the air.
Gabe Ellison withstood the pressure of those last 20 laps with Casey Carrington breathing down his neck and has opened that gap up to over 0.6 of a second here going into turns 1 and 2 for the final time tonight.
Doesn't look like the 43 has anything left for him after that tag with the wall. He had him under a 10th, but it's not going to matter now. For the first time this season, Sim Racer Hub driver Gabe Ellison out of turn 4. He will be victorious in the gamble here at Las Vegas. It was another clean and green run for the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series, and what they put together here tonight was nothing short of spectacular, keeping the top 3, top 4 cars all within, a couple seconds of each other, even after pit stops. It wasn't a strategy race like we saw last week. It was everybody on the same page, and everybody looking for the same piece of real estate. This guy came out on top.
That he did. Gabe Ellison, 4th at Daytona and then 3rd at Auto Club, was inching his way closer to that top step of the podium and made it happen this time around. The 27 gets win number 1 of the season. And in a race where points leader Michael Sturgill was not here, he's going to make a big jump up to that and holds off P2 both in the points and in this race, Casey Carrington, in dramatic fashion. Great work tonight from the 27 of Gabe Ellison.
Post-race interviews with your top 3. Final results will come up. You're watching the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series live on Vspeed. More coverage is going to continue. Stick around right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back live here on Vspeed. The RacerHub.com Challenge Series has concluded its 90-lap race here from Las Vegas. Since 2009, SimRacerHub.com has been the premier destination for iRacing league scoring. Our mission is to provide you with the most comprehensive and user-friendly tools to manage your league schedules, results, points, and stats. Plus, our highly active Discord community is always ready to assist you with any questions or issues. Ready to take the plunge? Create a league today and join our community of passionate sim racers. Find out more at SimRacerHub.com. Well, final results up on the screen here, and it was kind of a surprise moment, but then not so surprising. Actually, just got rid of that, but Casey Carrington won the stage. We'll get back on cue here. 12 lead changes, 0 cautions yet again, and your pole sitter is victorious. After what they learned at Atlanta, he was able to kind of carry that over and transfer it. He beat Casey Carrington at his own game by a second, almost a second and a half. Josh Dillon, he claws his way back up to the top 5 after falling out of it. He's going to finish 3rd. Then it goes to Josh Taylor in the 7th. Now, how about that guy? He was playing strategy all night as well. He led some laps. He gets 4th. Sheldon Atkins in the 81. Well, I'm so confused here because I was throwing it out that the 81 had fallen out of the top 5. He snuck his way back in there right at the end of this thing. He'll get 5th. Clinton Sneed with a top 10 position. He's just outside of that top 5. He'll get 6th. 7th goes to Thomas Stokes. Curtis White, Dylan Rosenberg, and Jose Ruiz will round out the top 10.
Yeah, Michael Mullins finishing 11th here tonight, just ahead of Craig Martin. Jeff No 13th, Clinton Castleberry 14th. Stan Carnathan got some laps led on that alternate strategy, but ultimately going to bring it home 15th tonight. Michael Garone ran out of fuel on that final lap, so while he was in the top 5 in the closing stages, he will finish 16th here tonight. Nathan Rogie, same deal, finishing 17th after what was a really good run going for the 87. These cars now on a lap or more down from the leader. Dan Drew 18th, Kyle Shelton 19th, and Andy Oken 20th.
I think you could say the same for Giroux, that he probably ran out of fuel because he was up there in the top 10 there in the closing laps, and he's going to finish a lap down, so that's a lot of ground lost there starting in 7th here today. Final page of results, you have in 21st position Chris Waddle in the 15, 2 laps down. Tim Bruce, problems early in this race, looked really loose and lost the control of that car a couple different times. The 411 gets 22nd. Cade Sullivan in 23rd, and Max Steck came out after missing the grid, tried to get some laps completed. He will finish in 24th position, 17 laps down of the day. Well, finally, that brings us to our podium finishers, and it looks like Alex Gagnon has caught up to our 3rd place finisher. That's going to be Josh Dillon in the number 12 machine.
Hey there, Josh. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, last week at Atlanta, I'm sure was a frustrating one, being involved in that incident on the opening lap. This time, though, got through the opening lap with no problems. And when you're able to actually run the full race, looks like some pretty solid results can happen. Talk to us a little bit about your day running up the P3.
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't bring Atlanta up, but that was a good 300 feet. No, this is a good race. We needed it, especially after that. Didn't think it'd be a fuel mileage race, but that definitely turned into one.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit. Obviously it seemed like a lot of people were trying to save fuel. Did you go into this race expecting to have to save fuel, or was that something that was becoming more apparent as the race was going on?
Going in, I did not expect it, and then I completely forgot about the stage, so I pitted before the stage end. And then when we came out of the pits, we were talking, Casey and I back and forth, and like, oh, we can make it on one stop. And then from there, it was game on. Save as much as you can.
Well, ultimately, it seemed to work out for both you and that 43 machine. Both of you guys finishing on the podium here tonight, having just enough. It looked like a couple of those cars you were battling for 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the closing stages did not save enough. Was it at any point frustrating tonight trying to go out there and battle for position, knowing you had to be in such aggressive fuel save mode?
It wasn't bad to start. Like I said, there after the first pit stop, well, the only pit stop, we came out and I thought, all right, we're going to have another pit stop. No big deal. I'll just burn the tires off of it, try to get back up. And then there at the end, trying to stay with everybody, it was really frustrating. I was battling the 7 and the 81, and I realized I was going to be a lap short. But they were more than a lap short, so I took a chance. I stopped saving, and I ran out of 4. Coming out of 4, I ran out and just sputtered across the line. So that was the only hard part, was trying to save but also battle.
Yeah, certainly a tough balance to walk, but it certainly seems like you did, timing it perfectly to coast across the line there, coming off of turn 4. Josh, first podium of the year, I believe, for you. Anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
I'd like to thank Clinton and Casey for putting 2 leagues together for the Showdown. It's a pretty interesting premise, and I like it. Get to race with guys I don't normally race with. Big thank you guys and Vspeed for putting on a pretty killer broadcast. It's pretty fun to go back and rewatch. And I'll thank everybody out here that we race with, because we've had complete green flag races the past few weeks. Pretty
Yeah,
surprising.
it's been incredible to watch this, flag to flag, all green flag the past few weeks here. Well, Josh, congrats on your podium finish. Congrats on the run tonight, and hopefully we get to talk to you again here in the Vspeed booth real soon.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys.
That was third place finisher tonight, Josh Dillon. He fell down toward the back end of the top 10 at one point, but worked his way back up and saved just enough fuel to bring it home P3.
So with that, we have his teammate, the number 43. You've also caught up with him. Alex Gagnon has caught up with Casey Carrington, our second place finisher here tonight.
Hey, Casey, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Casey, win last week, almost another win this week. Came up just a hair short, but you did get the stage win. You timed that one perfectly. What was the thought process going in there to save enough fuel to win the stage? It looked like you were the only car to pit really after the stage break.
Yeah, I had a quote from one of the Batman movies I was going to use, but I forgot it. But essentially, I kind of gave up my shot at the race win, going for the stage win, because I ran out of fuel there on lap 46, and that was pretty much. I was just talking with Gabe in the waiting room. That was pretty much what allowed him to get the gap that I had to overcome there at the end of the race. But it's just one of those things when you can get about 43, 46 laps on fuel, and the stage breaks at lap 45. You really are, playing the race backwards, and you're playing this fuel safe pretty much from the start of the race. I mean, I started back in 10th and had a lot of ground to cover and did about as good of a job as I could. And it got to that point there at the end. I think Gabe said like he had maybe 0.1 gallons or something when he crossed the line, and I ran out of 4. So I'll chalk the difference between wherever he started. Yeah, he started on the pole. So difference between first and 10th at the start of the race, I guess, is the difference between a tenth of a gallon and not.
Honestly, it very well might be. Just gets to show, I guess, the emphasis on the qualifying there came into play a bit tonight. But it did look like you were running him down with a couple laps to go. You were right there, within a tenth of a second. And then in 1 and 2, it looked like you went high to try and get a run off the corner and maybe clip the outside wall just a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about that, and was that the last real opportunity to try and reel him in?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of just like pulling the goalie. Like I knew I was going to be short, so my only hope was that he'd saved even worse and was going to run out before I did. And it's like, I looked, I had a 3 or God knows how big the lead was back to third place. I'm like, well, I can run out and not lose any position, so I might as well just try to scare him and brute force my way past him on the outside and hope that he runs out, or that I can kind of park it in front of him and save while keeping him behind me. And yeah, I just kind of overdrove it. I mean, this despite how much on throttle time there is, I mean, this place eats the tires up. I was down to 30 something percent there at the end. So it's, yeah, what you saw there with me getting in the wall, that was pretty much just a last second shot at a buzzer beater or something like that. I didn't really have a chance on beating him because of the fuel. So I just figured might as well go for it and hope maybe he could spin out or hit the wall or something in reaction.
Well, it was a valiant attempt indeed. Almost got there in the end. But for your troubles with the stage win and the P2 finish, and with the fact that the 3 car was not in the field tonight, you will almost certainly inherit the points lead coming out of Vegas this week. Does that give you, a bit of confidence? Obviously, not the win tonight, but knowing that you'll be walking out of here with the points lead?
Yeah, it's always a good thing. With the drop weeks, I guess it's kind of confused. I don't know if this series itself has a drop week or if it's just a combined series with Thursday nights. But anytime you can make up spots on somebody as good as Sturgill, I mean, I'll take that. He I know if he'd been here tonight, he would have been up there with us, and I might have finished third even. So I mean, you take the points where you can get them. Yeah, it would have been nice to have won. I kind of wish I had punted on the stage win a little bit and went for the race win, but I really didn't think we were going to go 3 races in a row without a caution. So I kind of took a chance there and came up short.
Yeah, we've yet to have a super speedway or a non-super speedway race have a caution, which is an insane stretch to have over 3 races straight here.
The frustrating part is that I've got to still have a 100% being involved in each caution rate since the only caution of the season was what I got caught up in at Daytona. So I was hoping to kind of lower that average a bit, but hey, it's good racing. I mean, I'm not going to. We spend as iRacers so many times or so much time complaining about too many cautions. You can't complain when you don't get any.
Yeah, absolutely. So, maybe the one blemish on what has been an otherwise fantastic start to the season for you. Casey, anyone you'd like to thank or shout out while you're up here in the booth?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out you guys for doing the broadcast. You guys do a great job. I'd like to shout out everybody watching. I'd like to shout out Quentin for putting the week on and any of the admins that help him out. I'm not really sure of the roster yet. This is only my 4th race or so in this league, but shout out to every one of those. Shout out to my team. I don't really know who's on my team now because we were kind of merging 2 teams together. Josh Dillon definitely, and I guess Craig Martin. And hey, I want to shout out to Josh for getting 3rd place. I mean, that's one of the best runs I think I've seen him have in probably the last couple of months. He runs my league on Thursdays with me, and it was a struggle last week for him at Atlanta. He didn't quite make it to turn 1, so I'd say that was a hell of a turnaround from last Tuesday to tonight.
Yeah, he was not super keen on me mentioning that fact when I kicked off our interview with
The
it.
sad part is that's the 2nd week race at Old Atlanta in a row where he's done exactly that. Except that one wasn't his fault, but still, he's yet to make it through turn 1 and 2 Atlanta races in a row.
Well, he made it through this one to finish P3. You made it through this one to finish P2. Casey, congrats on taking the points lead. Congrats on a solid run tonight. And looking forward to seeing you again in the booth here real soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And that was your 2nd place finisher tonight. Casey Carrington will inherit the points lead, leaving Las Vegas, but comes up 1 spot short of the victory.
And well, we need to take a moment here to appreciate the fact that Casey Carrington took every cheap shot he could without Josh Dillon here to rebuttal. I appreciated that very much. I loved every second of it.
Just fuel on the fire for next week, if you will.
Yeah, some motivation. I believe they call that tackling fuel.
Yeah.
Bobby Boucher would be out here on the racetrack if he could be. But Gabe Ellison was on the racetrack. He started on the pole, and he is victorious here today. Gabe, I tell you what, it's just so many races have gotten away from you. It almost makes you sick to think that, last week there was a fuel strategy that kind of played the same role in this race tonight. You had the excellent drive there at Daytona and Auto Club. Of course, you apply some of the things that the guys learned there last week, you put it into full force, and you were able to take Casey Carrington to Gapplebee's, as I believe what they call it.
Yeah, the fuel strategy worked out really good. Huge thanks to Mr. Clinton Sneed, because I didn't really get to do a bunch of practice and figure out kind of what the tank would give you. So he made sure to let me know I need to be fuel saving. So right from the get go, it was in the top of my mind. And yeah, I was able to stretch 46 laps on the first run, which gave me only 44 on the back half. So I knew that if it stayed green, I would cycle to the lead, and then really it would just be staying in front of Casey. And luckily, I was able to do that.
When your whole shot motorsports teammate with the number 3 not being here this week, was that in your mind as well of, I missed a week, I've got to bring myself back and capitalize on this situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, not having someone as fast as Michael on the track certainly helps your odds of winning. If we're just talking about that. So yeah, it was unfortunate missing last week too. Had a little family trip though. Especially missing Legacy Atlanta. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite tracks. But yeah, it's really nice to get the win, and hopefully I can take a big jump back in the points.
Yeah, sorry to make this interview about Michael Sturgill. I didn't mean to do that.
It's all right.
But outside of that, Gabe, you come out here, you start on the pole, you start out strong, but then a stage gets snagged away from you. Were you starting to think, well, maybe we can't do this in one stop? Was there any point where you're starting to doubt what was maybe the strategy through this race?
No, so I did think that I was going to get the stage. I didn't think that anyone was going to be able to, complete lap 45 and do another full lap. But Casey was able to in front of me, and then he ran out of fuel on the backstretch, I think, like before we finished 46. So he made, and I knew I was catching them quite a bit at the end because I had hit my number. So it just mathematically, I just saved a little too much, a little too early to win that stage. But I knew that when I passed Casey before we pit, that as long as I didn't, make any errors in and out of pit road and, ran a smooth final stint, that I should be good.
Confidence here was key. The SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series has been good to us so far with, I believe it's now 3 in a row, caution-free races. And with Gabe Ellison coming out on top, anybody you'd like to shout out for tonight's victory in week 4?
Yeah, thanks to SimRacerHub.com and Mr. Clinton Sneed putting on the league, as well as Casey Carrington. And then you guys in the booth, and also just shout out to everybody in the field for 3 races with no cautions. I mean, on iRacing, that's basically unheard of nowadays, it seems like. So, great racing.
Yeah, I think the age limit needs to be bumped up to 18 now.
I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that, honestly.
But
I think
outside
you
of
might want
that,
to bump it a bit higher than that, honestly.
yeah,
The other night we had 13 cautions in a 75 lap race.
yeah, there's been a lot going on. If you're an official driver, you know what? I feel for you. I gave that up a long time ago, starting back on the service back in 2013. So I think we've all seen it, Gabe. We've seen it all.
Yes, sir. We'll appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next week at Rockingham.
Sounds good. Thanks.
And with that, I kind of let the cat out of the bag, but we're going to go racing again next week. Hope you guys can join us as we get set to bring you more coverage here on Vspeed. As soon as I figure out where my buttons are. Looks like I've lost. There we go. Hey, look at that. There's Rockingham.
The Rock is back.
Tuesday, September 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Race number 5 of the season. Thunder Alley in the backstretch here at this less than a 1.5 mile racetrack. It should change the fuel strategy a little bit. Should bring us some more great racing, and I'm looking forward to it when we get to unleash these Gen 4 cars another time here in North Carolina. But for everybody here at Vspeed, Adam Baker for all the things that he does in the background, Clinton Sneed for bringing the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series on YouTube on this channel. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure to do so. But for Alex Gagnon and everybody else that works here at Vspeed, this is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your week. We'll see you Friday night for the Track Champion Series. Take care, everybody.